Welcome to a new Scary Tuesday, TikTakers. We bet many of you know about the creepy video game Bendy and the Ink Machine, but few are familiar with the creepypasta about its origins, so pay attention. At the end of the 40s, Henry and Joey were two talented animators who became very successful thanks to their TV cartoon starring two of their creations, Bendy and Boris. However, at one point, Henry had a crisis and ran out of ideas. Joey, worried, suggested that he took a few days off, while Joey directed the rest of the team to continue with the show. Days turned into months, and Henry ended up distancing from the show, leaving Joey in charge of the business. And so Joey, wanting to take as much advantage of the situation as possible, thought about organizing secret screenings so that fans could pay to see the episodes way before their official broadcast date. The idea worked, and in a short time, Joey managed to accumulate a huge sum of money. However, one of Joey's employees discovered what he was doing and demanded that he received part of the earnings, threatening to tell everything to Henry. Joey, fearing the consequences, got extremely angry and beat the employee to death, crashing his head against one of the machines in the workshop. The employee died, and his body ended up covered in ink. Joey was desperate. He didn't want to end up in jail. And so, when he saw the blood and the ink mixed in a thick puddle, he had a macabre idea. He grabbed a saw and, trying to contain his revulsion, sewed the employee's body into pieces and threw them into the ink tank. He hoped that the chemicals in the ink would help decompose the body as well as hide its rotten smell. What Joey couldn't hide, however, was his remorse, which rotted his character and behavior until he drove away half of his workers. His madness led him to flirt with black magic, eventually selling his soul to the devil. Then one night, he experimented with a ritual to bring Bendy and Boris, his beloved cartoons, to life. He needed to draw a pentagram using human blood, so he used some of the thick ink and blood mixture from the tank. The ritual was successful, and two creatures emerged from the ink, squirming and making their bodies crack. Joey looked at Bendy and Boris, finally made of flesh and bone, as real as he was. After that, Joey finally went insane. He closed the studio, fired his remaining employees, and locked himself in with his creations. Although they couldn't move their mouths or even blink, Joey taught them, little by little, how to talk and communicate, and they became more intelligent. They wouldn't stop running around and playing pranks like a couple of mischievous kids. Seeing them play, Joey had the idea of making a revolutionary movie with them, mixing animation and reality. And so he started by composing some musical numbers with his banjo. Boris approached Joey, interested in what he was doing, and immediately wanted to help him. Joey sent Boris upstairs, where there was an open attic, to look for other musical instruments. The cartoon rushed upstairs with so much force that it lost its balance, stumbling clumsily with everything in his path. However, this time around, Boris couldn't avoid falling through the opening in the attic, breaking its neck with a dry crack after impacting the floor. Joey, horrified, approached Boris' body and shook it, only to confirm his biggest fear. Meanwhile, at the other side of the studio, Bendy was finishing a drawing of Boris and him doing mischief. Bendy was really close to Boris. They were like brothers, and Bendy eagerly wanted to show him his drawing. Looking for a pencil on the desk, Bendy found a handwritten letter and couldn't avoid reading it. "Hello, Joey. I haven't heard from you for so long. I know, it's been a while since I left the studio. Okay, a long time actually. But I'd like to know how things are going. Every time I turn on the TV and watch our show, I feel very proud. I'd love to go back and start working again, but I'm not strong enough to do it yet. I promise that I'll be ready soon enough. Bendy and Boris are the best thing that ever happened to me, and I don't want to abandon them. See you soon. Signed, Henry." Bendy was bursting with joy. He couldn't believe it. There was someone else who knew them and loved them. He grabbed the letter and the drawing and ran around trying to find Boris to give him the news. However, what he saw when he peeked through the workshop's door left him frozen in horror. The dead body of his friend hung from one of the roof chains, while Joey was cutting him top to bottom with a huge knife. Joey was fascinated when he saw that inside Boris was just like a normal person, with organs and viscera placed around the skeleton. The only thing that was different was the blood running through the organs, which had the same texture and color as the ink. Bendy ran away from there, horrified, without saying a word, while half of his face started to deform little by little as if it was melting. Joey, out of his mind, threw the knife and let Boris' body fall to the floor. He was constantly muttering, "I have to revive him, I need more ink." He ran to the tank and opened the hatch to take another sample. But suddenly, a spurt of liquid burst out like an explosion, covering Joey's entire body. He started to scream in pain as he felt his skin burning and his flesh tearing apart. He fell to his knees, agonizing, noticing how an invisible force was breaking all of his bones. The last thing he saw was Bendy standing by his side and giving him a sinister smile, while Joey's gaunt face melted and his jaw dislocated. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, and if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!